Beautiful day, Patriots. How are you? There's a guy on YouTube by the name of Jared Boosters. I don't know if I've seen any of his stuff before, but I just got done watching a good 40-minute video called Old World Columbus, Ohio. Columbus, Ohio. This is the guy's YouTube name. You can find his YouTube by pushing in this. And I don't know if it's his first video. It was just one that came up on my timeline on YouTube, and I got done watching it. And he's got some of the best collections of old buildings in Old World Columbus. And what was just crazy is how big these buildings were 100+ years ago. I mean, just gigantic. And he's got, ironically, because he shows over, I bet you, close to 50 different, they call it Tartarian, I believe, Tartarian age buildings. And in Columbus, Ohio, and we've already done Columbus and how that's weird, but how many just incredibly huge buildings were there. And the collection of photos that he's got, I do believe, is probably an incredibly one-of-a-kind collection in one place of Columbus, Ohio, of the old buildings there. But he has a collection of asylums there. There was the blind asylums, there was the deaf asylums, there was the youth asylums, there was the oh my gosh, there's at least 5 or 6 different asylums, mental asylums, of these buildings that are so large, absolutely so large, it's incredible. All asylums of different kinds of asylums. And he goes through, and it's really awesome on this video, because what he also does is he gives the population of the, just what they tell us. They just tell us, you know, like at the year 1818, say, or 1881. Okay? And he'd sit there and say, he'll show you all these asylums and other buildings around, and sit there and give you the population of the people in the town at that time. And then you're like, wait a minute, why are there so many large buildings and so many different types of asylums? Asylum just for the deaf? Just for the blind? Just for the mentally handicapped? It's bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. Now, one of the things that he was saying at the end, you know, if you have any comments, leave it below. Like, what do you see? And what I want to show and point out is that when we go and look at these old photographs and stuff like that, you know, there's, especially like of log cabins and stuff, you know, there's a fireplace and we see smoke coming out. Or if we look at old photographs of buildings, like of factories, we see the smokestacks and we see smoke coming out of it. But none of the Tartarian buildings and pictures that we ever see, I've never seen one. They show like chimneys looking things coming out of the things, but you've never seen a picture of smoke coming out of them. Right? Okay? And the other thing is imagine the cost of heating a brick building of this size when your roof is 40 feet above the floor and you've got an open fireplace. How are you heating this place? These castles and these old huge buildings. And like I say, that we never see actual smoke coming out of these buildings. The other thing I want to point out is that they'll have no electricity going to these buildings. Going down all these streets, you see buildings and electricity going all over the place, but in these big, huge Tartarian buildings, there's no heat coming out of the fireplaces, and we don't see electricity poles going to those particular buildings. We see them go to other houses and buildings in these pictures, but not to these big, large ones. And imagine how much electricity it would cost to light up a building like this, but the heating cost in the years of 1800s, like I'll use the same one, 1881. They're showing these great big, huge, large buildings. And how much wood would it cost to take fireplaces and burn that? I know, because I got a fireplace right behind me. I know how much it takes to cost to burn firewood. Like in amount of like storage, and how much effort it is to get it and bring it back and then throw it into your fireplace. And then the smoke and the dirt, that's just, your hands are always dirty. Your floors are always dirty. The outside of the building is always dirty. The soot comes down and goes all over the ground. London did a campaign and they scrubbed every single one of their buildings clean. It took them, I believe, 50 years after they stopped burning coal. But in the year 1800, when we look at these old, huge buildings, how were they heating it? Did they not heat it? I mean, if we just look with naked eyes and look at these great big, huge, large, incredibly large buildings with never ever a fireplace going out of it, of smoke coming out of any fire chimneys, or even, okay, back to where we're seeing these great big, huge buildings like, say, apartment complexes. These great big, huge apartment complexes that were built with no fireplaces or smokestacks up on the top of them. Are you telling me that they were all using electric heaters? Oh, you say they were using furnaces. Oh, so they were burning the water over here and then pumping in hot water into the buildings? Oh, you mean they had the boilers in here? So they were building boilers so large, heating up so much water that it would not only give everybody hot water, it would heat all their apartments? How did these people heat up these buildings? Just here in America. Just here in America. Right? I mean, they say we build these government buildings right here, like, say, within the last 50 years. You know, we can see the constructions in the pictures with these big pillars and these big tundras and these gigantic, huge. Now, I can see how we heated those with electric heaters now, but if you were doing something like this, why would you be so cost inefficient with marble floors, marble walls, marble? You know how hard it is to heat up marble and how fast the heat loss of marble is? And again, these are just some really quick, simple little point outs of how we just take everything at face value. We don't question absolutely anything. And again, the collection of buildings that this man has is like 50 or 60 of the most incredibly largest buildings that you've ever seen in your life. You've never seen a building this large in your life. And they were built 150 years ago. Or at least that's what they say. The pictures are there. I highly recommend go to this YouTube, Old World Columbus. He does a better job than I do because I'm filling your brain of, like, you know, what to look for and stuff like that. He does a great job of just saying, what do you see? And just keeps showing these pictures over and over and over. And your mind just keeps going, wait a minute. This can't be true. We don't have buildings like this nowadays. Not even close. Not even close. Not even close. Michael tonight, I only caught a few minutes of Michael, but he kept, the part I heard, he kept saying airport terminal, 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 terminal. Airport terminals, train terminals, bus terminals, yeah, these terminals. It's the same thing as all these other buildings. So anyways, again, just to help you break free of the narrative, whatever it is or wherever you're trying to break free of, just want to see things differently, see some of the old world of how time can be stolen right in front of our faces. It doesn't even have to be that long ago. Our great-great-great-grandparents, do we even know who they were or their story was? Or are we being spoon-fed that by going